So I binged this obscure Smash Bros. Anime, is what I wish I'd say, but Captain N the Game Master is the closest thing to that, and it brings me pain. Captain N the Game Master is an animated series that aired on NBC from 1989 to 1991, and was made by Deke, who created the timeless masterpiece of our generation known as the Super Mario Bros. Super Show and the Legend of Zelda animated series.
If you're not watching the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, you're gonna
go to hell before you die.
Well, excuse.
It started as a character in Nintendo's now discontinued magazine, Nintendo Power, going by the same name. Or at least according to the character's Wikipedia article. Not the article for the show, but the character of Captain N is apparently so deep and developed that he demanded his own Wikipedia page. Yes, because our great encyclopedias need to document the Chad of our generation known as Kevin Keene. Is that really his last name? Anyway, he originally went by Captain Nintendo, and was portrayed as a Nintendo employee fighting off against a rogue NES pack, causing him to bring to life different characters and items from Nintendo games. It eventually led to enough story potential for Nintendo to commission Deke to make a show out of it. Captain N stars Kevin, your bland self-insert, as he gets sucked into the video game world known as Videoland, in order to stop Mother Brain from taking over or something. He is known in the prophecy as the Game Master, a true epic gamer. He is greeted by Princess Lana, who I assume is some self-insert waifu for this obvious self-insert fanfic. I mean, look at this. Kevin is pretty much a self-insert void of any personality, hanging out with your favorite Nintendo characters. Speaking of those characters, though, we gotta talk about them. Now, I'm assuming they didn't include Nintendo's most known characters like Mario or Link on the team because they both had their own shows running around the same time. So, we've got what I assume was next down on the ladder. Simon Belmont of Castlevania fame, Mega Man, and
Kid Icarus.
Wait, that's not his name.
Kid Icarus, I could use a little trim.
Seriously, that's not his name. His name is Pit. It's literally what he's called in the manual. Did you not pick up a copy of Kid Icarus?
If Kid Icarus trusts you.
Alright, that's gotta bother me. Now, for a disclaimer, I'm a huge Kid Icarus fan. Well, by Kid Icarus, I of course mean Kid Icarus Uprising, but that's usually what a lot of fans nowadays think of when they think of the series. And even in the original, which this design is clearly based off of, he is referred to as Pit. You're literally calling him the name of his game. This is literally boomer tier logic of calling Link Zelda or Samus Metroid. They also seem to alter his design in Season 3 to resemble his appearance in Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters. I understand why they did this, but it can come off as jarring if you're not fully in the know of the releases of Nintendo games. Speaking of that Metroid comparison, where is Samus anyway? Feels kind of odd to have Mother Brain as the villain and not have Samus. It's almost hilariously in character for her to just look at how stupid the show is and be all, screw this, call me when they make a giant Metroidvania crossover. Going back to the characters though, let's talk about how they're portrayed. While ignoring the voice direction, they decided to go for Pit and Mega Man.
You were our only hope, but you let her down.
You get a low score for this game.
They're pretty bland in terms of personality. Whenever Pit isn't being just the child, he'll say Icus at the end of every sentence.
Gypseticus,
Albicus,
Doricus, Helpicus, Trapicus, Heinicus, Hippicus, Squashicus Maximus.
Shut the fuck up!
Now, this is annoying, yes, but what's even more annoying is that they'll do this with Mega Man too, except with the word Mega.
Mega better, Mega buddy, Mega fast, Mega move it, Mega.
Shut the fuck up!
In a way, I kind of understand this. Video game protagonists during the NES era didn't have much going for them in terms of personality, so they didn't really have a whole lot to work with. But it comes off as obnoxious hearing that word in every sentence, and adds a level of cringe to some of their lines when they'll just be sprinkled all over the script. And I'm ignoring the worst portrayal here, which is Simon. Most of his dialogue is all, I'm handsome and crap, and I'm horny and crap. He's like super in love with Princess Lana, and just creeps on her for 3 seasons. He's arrogant, stupid, and honestly one of the few things in this show that's just plain bad and not laughably bad. I'm not an expert on Castlevania or anything, but even I feel a bit insulted by the way they chose to portray him. Now, looking at this show on the surface level, you'd think the concept of all these Nintendo characters coming together to take down one force would lead to so much creative potential. And you're right. However, you won't find it here. For something that's supposed to be portraying each of these Nintendo worlds as one big entity, they're really not good at portraying how these worlds actually are. Kid Icarus, for example, well yes, the game does have the aesthetic of Greek mythology. It actually subverted a lot of Greek mythology mythos. Even in the original, Medusa, the final boss, was the big boss of the game, and they went a different direction with her besides snake hair lady who turns you into stone if you look at her. Here, it's literally just the former. Also, how the world is in general just feels very stock to me. Oh, it's Greek mythology, gotta throw in like togas and colosseums and stuffs. Same thing with Castlevania. Oh, there's horror elements, gotta make it all like haunted house theme and stuffs. Yeah, these elements do exist in these games, but they tend to do them in a unique way that gives them their own identities. Here, it's just such a stock and basic way of showing off these games that it gives them no identity. It's also funny how they'll mostly just name them after the names of their games. Very on the nose there, Deke. I mean, I really shouldn't be surprised. It was the 80s, but at least don't be blatant about it. I'm not even against shows that are meant to sell toys or games or whatever, as I've liked a few myself, but in those, they managed to tell a decent story and have compelling characters while also being there to promote stuff. Also, it's Skyworld, not Mount Icarus. The episodes follow a very simple structure. Mother Brain or the N Team, yes, that's what they're frequently called, do a thing, the opposite party responds to thing, and shenanigans ensue. The episode structure on its own isn't the interesting part, it's what actually happens. Whenever I'm describing the show to any of my friends, the first thing I always say is, did you know there's an episode where Simon Belmont wants to marry Mother Brain?
My plan is to hug and kiss those cute little wrinkles on your brain.
For context of that lovely clip, in the episode, Pit shoots a love arrow because Angel automatically equals Cupid now, and causes Simon to fall in love with Mother Brain. He gets to the point of proposing to her, causing the N Team to try to put a stop to the wedding. It's typical shenanigans, and then...
Mother Brain and I, living in a cottage in the country, raising a family of cute little baby brains.
And I didn't need to see that. Yeah, try telling this to anyone fanficking Smash Bros. That Simon x Mother Brain was almost canon at one point. And heck, looking at some of these titles already makes it look like you're in for an eyebrow-raising time, with glorious titles such as Happy Birthday Mega Man. So, Mega Man has a common birthday now? Or was that in his trophy bio? Season 1 was pretty standard. The one thing making it stand out was the music. See, in the original airings of these episodes, whenever there was like a chase scene or a montage, they just slap on the latest pop song. That's pretty typical in some areas, but it's so funny to just hear Thriller by Michael Jackson playing over this animation.
No escape is the child of the
Now, due to copyright, at least from what I've researched, the pop songs were removed when it was in syndication and replaced with the same stock track for every single scene. Now, I understand needing to replace the song, but could it not be the same background track every time? It doesn't always fit, and it's super generic. I remember they also used this track in, I think, the Mario 3 show. You may think a show specifically made to advertise games during the NES era would last 1-2 seasons at most. That's exactly what I thought, and then I saw it ran for 3. Well, technically that's half right. It's more like 2.5. The third season seemed to not only be split in half, but the the episodes were only 11 minutes long, sharing a half-hour slot with the Mario World cartoon, which isn't a new thing either. A lot of these video game cartoons tended to share the same time slots with other video game cartoons, the Mario Bros. Super Show and the Zelda one being the famous example. Heck, Season 2 of Captain N shared a slot with the Mario 3 show, and featured logos like these. I feel like I'm on DeviantArt looking at this. Guess they really wanted to make sure you got all facets of the Nintendo Empire advertised to you. Going back to Season 2, there are some differences to Season 1. They dropped the pop songs and added a Game Boy.
I am called Game Boy. I am programmed to play games. Ready to commence gameplay.
The Game Boy was a fairly new thing at the time, releasing only a year prior to this episode, so it was only inevitable it be shown off in the cartoon in some capacity. So the first episode really doesn't give it a good first impression, portraying the Game Boy that you must beg your parents to buy as a destructive force of nature. But hey, he was added to the team for the remainder of the show. Considering how much shorter Season 3 was, and that the Super Nintendo was releasing around this time, I can understand the cancellation. Heck, it seemed like they were starting to run out of Nintendo games for ideas by Season 2, as during the season, they just threw in Link and Zelda from their own show.
Thanks for inviting us, Princess Zelda.
You two are always welcome on Hyrule, Captain N.
Sounds like we have some uninvited guests. Boons!
Crossing over Nintendo games before it was cool, I see. The sad fact is, this is one of those ideas I kind of want to see done again, just, you know, good. Heck, I'm not the only one who's thought this. In 2019, an animator by the name of Knox Robbins decided to make a concept pitch animatic for a Captain N reboot, and it looks really cool. I'm not sure if anything's gonna come out of it, but if it does, that'd be awesome. But no matter what happens with this concept, there will always be one thing that is true. Simon X Mother Brain is a cursed ship, and shipping it brings society to a new low.
I will